The rough timetable is everything has to be completed within the next 12 months because the chief executive has a term of 5 years. And the current chief executive, that is myself, my term will end in June next year. So normally the election of a chief executive will need to take place in March. So we are now in March, so it's exactly 12 months. We need to, of course, we need to have the NPC decision. We need to have the NPC SC amendments to Annex 1, Annex 2. Then we need to enact local legislation. There are at least 20 pieces of local legislation, both the principal legislation and the subsidiary legislation that will need to be amended consequentially. And then we need to put in place the electoral arrangements like voter registration and nomination of candidates, and then the polling day. So all these have to take place within the next 12 months. That is the timetable. And you can imagine it's a very, very tight timetable. But I will make sure that my team will put in every effort, put this at the top of our agenda in order to achieve this objective. Well, it's because one is this is well within the jurisdiction of the central authorities under the Constitution and under the Basic Law. It is entirely the prerogative and the power of the central authorities to introduce changes to Hong Kong's political system. And any electoral system is part and parcel of that political system. Secondly, since 1997, Hong Kong has 3 rounds of changes to the way the chief executive were to be elected and the legislative were to be formed. And during those rounds, there was a sort of procedure that if the Hong Kong SAR were to initiate, then it has to go through certain steps. But with the current environment in Hong Kong and the timing that we have just discussed is very tight timing, it is almost impossible for this change to take place through that Hong Kong SARG initiated process, let alone whether it will succeed. It's exactly like the national security law. We are obliged under Basic Law Article 23 to enact local legislation to safeguard national security. We never managed to do that. So ultimately, because of the very worrying situation, the central authorities have to come in. So this time is exactly the same. And I have to express thanks to the central authorities for doing this for us, because this will give us the needed stability and certainty to move on.